live. NBC6 News at 6 starts now.
And you are taking a live look at the Kennedy Space Center, where in less than 25 minutes, NASA's long-awaited Artemis II mission is set to launch 4 astronauts on a journey around the moon.
Yeah, the crew is already suited up and they're ready for liftoff, which is set for 6:24 p.m. The 10-day mission won't include a lunar landing, but the historic crew will travel deeper into space than any human before them.
And Larissa Abreu is in Titusville, where spectators have gathered to see the liftoff.
The excitement has been building here at Space View Park. I want to show you, just to give you some perspective, behind me, that's the Indian River, and just over the horizon, that's where the SLS is currently on its launch pad. And at the moment, we're just hours away from history as Artemis II prepares to take flight. For the first time in over 50 years, humans will travel into deep space around the moon. It's a critical step forward, returning humans to the moon. The excitement is building along the Space Coast as many people continue to trickle in from all parts of the world. The countdown to liftoff is officially underway, and a new era of exploration is about to begin, and this is where it all starts. Many people have mentioned what an impact the space program has had, and we had the opportunity to speak to a retired teacher.
The first one that I saw, we brought students over from our high school on a field trip to see a launch. And when we lived in Florida, I ran into those kids from time to time in the town, and they would always talk about how spectacular that launch was. We had great experiences. We did 7 field trips to see launches, and that's just a great thing to do with kids.
And this important mission, this historic mission, is all contingent on the weather. Right now, we are dealing with windy conditions and a couple of showers that have moved through the area. So we're just hoping that the weather breaks in order to really watch this historic mission go down. In Titusville, Florida, I'm Larissa Abreu. Back to you.
And stick with NBC6 as we count down to this historic launch.
Yeah, we'll bring it to you live, on air, and across our digital platforms. All right, turning now to that breaking news out of Coral Springs this evening. Police say that they're working on a death investigation involving Vice Mayor Nancy Mateer-Bowen.
The Florida Democratic Party confirms Bowen has passed away.
Authorities are speaking right now about the case. We will update you as soon as we know more information, but here is what we can tell you about Bowen. She was elected in 2020 and 2024. She is the first Black and Haitian American woman commissioner of Coral Springs. She was appointed in November to serve a second term as mayor.
And Chopper 6 was over her home in Plantation, where you can see police presence as well as a crime scene tape. It's unclear right now what happened exactly, but NBC6's Nico Clemens is at a news conference right now. He'll bring you new information as it becomes available right here on NBC6.
And now to a story you will see only on 6. A firefighter accused of inappropriate conduct involving a minor participating in a Miami-Dade Fire Department ride-along program.
As NBC6 investigative reporter Amy Viteri found, that firefighter is no longer employed by the department.
That's right. A spokesperson for the department tells us that firefighter resigned last month after he was accused of having inappropriate text conversations with a high school student who was participating in a ride-along program with the department, prompting an internal investigation. A spokesperson for the Miami-Dade Fire Department tells NBC6 the alleged incident happened in late January and involved a 20-year veteran of the department, accused of sending inappropriate text messages to a teen student participating in an EMS ride-along program. According to the fire department, that firefighter, Guillermo Halfin, worked out of Fire Station 70 in southwest Miami-Dade. A spokesperson tells us he resigned on March 6th as the department was moving forward with plans to fire him. A statement from Miami-Dade Fire Rescue describes the behavior as unacceptable. Adding, upon becoming aware of this matter, Miami-Dade Fire Rescue acted swiftly and decisively to remove the individual from duty. Following a comprehensive internal investigation, the individual is no longer employed by the department. Any employee who engages in conduct that violates the trust placed in our department will be held accountable and subject to termination. And just days after Halfin left the department, employees received this memo from the department's chief saying all interactions with riders, cadets, and students must remain professional, respectful, and compliant with department policy. Conduct that fails to meet these standards is unacceptable. When asked about the incident, the fire union told us in a statement they can't discuss details, adding, "We hold our members to the highest standards as trusted public servants, and these allegations fall well below those expectations." And at this time, we're not aware of any criminal investigation. When we contacted Halfin today, he referred us to his attorney, who told us, out of respect for everyone involved in this situation, his client has no comment at this time. Reporting in Northwest Miami-Dade, Amy Viteri, NBC6 News.
A Broward Sheriff Fire Rescue Lieutenant is now behind bars after police say that the longtime county employee and his wife mentally and physically abused their 12-year-old child. Police say that the couple kept their adopted daughter inside a room under inhumane conditions. But tonight, their attorney claims that religion could explain some of their actions. NBC6 reporter Christian Colon has the story tonight.
Locked in a bedroom with no means to escape, forced to urinate on herself and then clean it up, then obligated to write Bible verses as a form of punishment. These are just some of the disturbing actions police say a Broward Sheriff's Fire Rescue Lieutenant and his wife did to their 12-year-old adoptive daughter.
Insane to see that or to even hear about that, because I was not expecting that, and I know he's a firefighter, so it's just the last thing you would expect.
On Wednesday, Lieutenant Joel Connard and his wife Jennifer appeared in front of a judge facing child abuse charges. Police say as a form of discipline, they kept the young girl locked in a room. A sound machine played loudly to prevent her from hearing others.
I know that he was very controlling. I know that they would walk up and down the street. She wasn't allowed to cut her hair. She wasn't allowed to make friends with a lot of people. They kept very much to themselves. The little times that we did see the children, they kept them in strollers covered.
Neighbors are shocked. They tell NBC6 the pair was a very strict Christian family. Outside their home, a Jesus is King flag flies high. Countless logos of the fire department are spread throughout the home.
They are devout Christians. They are devoutly religious. Their beliefs on various topics may not jive with people in this courtroom, or maybe they do.
Meanwhile, defense attorneys claim this was a misunderstanding of their religious beliefs. The judge disagreed.
When you allegedly got a 12-year-old child who is locked in a room for upwards of 3 years and is forced to urinate and defecate in the room and then clean it up with her clothes, that is not a religious issue. That's something else.
And police say this investigation started because the child told her school staff what was happening inside her home. As for the couple, they will be allowed to get out of jail. In Coral Springs, Christian Colon, NBC6 News.
Well, a South Florida man referred to as a trusted member of the community is accused of lewd acts with a teenage girl. Records show Shea Lunger is a community activist with a local nonprofit. The Miami-Dade Sheriff's Office says the 54-year-old entered a 15-year-old girl's room last month, then hugged and kissed her while making inappropriate comments. The arrest report indicates they had multiple interactions. Investigators are not ruling out there may be more victims.
Well, right now, the Miami-Dade Sheriff's Office is asking for the public's help in finding a missing 13-year-old. Victoria Charlatan was last seen near the 400 block of Northwest 149th Street in Miami. Police say that the teen was last seen wearing a white black t-shirt with sweatpants. Anyone with information is asked to call Miami-Dade Sheriff's Office.
Video from Only in Dade shows the moments a Miami-Dade Sheriff's Office motorman was rear-ended by a truck in southwest Miami-Dade. It happened at the intersection of 120th Street and 127th Avenue earlier today. The officer was taken to the hospital where he is in stable condition. The driver stayed on the scene, and as of now, it's not clear if he will face any charges.
Well, it is April Fool's Day, but school security is never a laughing matter. Multiple law enforcement agencies responded today when threats were called in targeting 3 Miami-Dade schools, locking them down and making sure that everyone was safe in those schools. Kinloch Park Elementary School, Kinloch Park Middle School, and West Miami Middle School. At least one of the calls threatened gun violence. All 3 were determined to be a hoax. Police say that they still have to take every threat seriously.
We knew right from the beginning that it was going to be fake. However, the parents don't know that, the kids don't know that. So they're leaving their jobs as fast as possible. They could get into an accident on the way here. So that's why this is something that we take very seriously.
I was going 97 and 836, rushing to get over here. My mother's on the other side trying to get my other son, but it was crazy.
Well, at this point, it's not clear if investigators have any idea who made the threats, but they do think that all of them are connected.
Well, still to come here at 6, history on the horizon.
We are live as the countdown to liftoff continues.
This segment on NBC6 News is sponsored by El Dorado Furniture.
We'll never forget the day our baby took those very first steps. A memory we'll cherish forever in our hearts. El Dorado Furniture is made for you.
Give me some of that wow. Move to the beat, drop down. Feel it in your body, let it out. Give me some of that. Give me some
wow. I love that. You should totally get that. Burlington. Deals, brands, wow.
The City Mattress Anniversary Sale is on. Join us in celebrating over 60 years of providing everything you need to sleep better. Enjoy exceptional savings on exclusive brands and save up to 40% store-wide. Save 25% on all sleeper sofas and bedroom furniture. With 6 decades of experience, our experts will guide you to your best sleep ever. Join the celebration exclusively at City Mattress.
Breaking news. Loctite Impact is now the official Impact windows and doors partner and proud roofing partner of your Miami Dolphins.
Hi, I'm Joe Rose, and I caught Dan Marino's first touchdown pass.
Hi, I'm Arondé Gadsden, and I caught Dan Marino's last touchdown pass.
And if you want to score a touchdown like us
on new Impact windows, doors, or a new roof,
call Loctite Impact at 954-500-LOCK or visit LoctiteImpact.com.
Mission to the moon. The Artemis II crew is set to make history, and we're there. Larissa Abreu and Valerie Ryan reporting live from the Space Coast. For the very latest, keep watching NBC6. The most accurate team in South Florida. NBC6 First Alert Weather.
All right, NBC News reporting Artemis is a go for launch. We'll have at least the coverage of the launch coming up in just a few minutes. I want to give you a brief look at your forecast today. Of course, we featured some more sunshine to end the afternoon. Unfortunately, battling still through showers in the Broward County. Take you a little bit closer here in the Lauderhill area, Lauderdale Lakes, Coral Springs. You can see these showers move on through. Don't let this throw you. Maybe we can pull this batch through the area off to the west across the Sawgrass and yield some drier conditions through the evening hours. But overnight into tomorrow morning, likely seeing at least some more showers come back into the pattern. 72, rain cooled there in Pompano Beach. Otherwise, upper 70s and lower 80s. A pleasant Wednesday evening across the area. There are the gusty winds that are still in place. That's driving our rip current danger. So even though in the days ahead, when we do get some sunshine back, it's still going to be a tough go out there on the beaches. As for your umbrellas, keep them at the ready. Overnight tonight, some Atlantic showers. Those will be around on the front end of our Thursday. By the afternoon hours, the beaches are still breezy, but then we bring on more sunshine. Notice more consolidation of the wet weather across the interior, where we certainly could use the moisture. The drought monitor will come out tomorrow. Hopefully we'll see some improvements in the metro area. Afternoon storms trying to come back into play by the time we get into the weekend, but the real interesting twist to the pattern will be beyond Easter Sunday into next week, building the moisture back up across the area. Some steamy highs into the mid-80s early next week, then a return to more showers and thunderstorms across the area as well. So for tomorrow, again, looking for some morning showers winding down midday. Monday, they will shift inland. We're still breezy. We'll keep that breeze into Friday as well. Notice the temperature trend does not change at all. Lower 80s will take us into the weekend. I think Saturday's the better day of the weekend. Sunday, some afternoon storms that were scattered about next week with afternoon highs in the mid 80s until our front arrives on Tuesday, trying to cool us down by Wednesday afternoon.
Thank you, Ryan. And the countdown to liftoff is getting closer. You're looking at live pictures right now of the Artemis II on the launch pad, getting ready, and we're very, very close to liftoff, about 10 minutes away.
Yeah, less than 10 minutes. We have been told that the all clear has been given for liftoff against the Artemis II, set to launch with four astronauts on a journey around the moon. Okay, we're going to go ahead and go to that special report with Tom Yamas.
Welcome to our viewers just joining us. We are moments away from the historic launch of the Artemis II that you see right there. 4 NASA astronauts about to lift off on a journey around the moon. With more for this launch, Tom Costello joins me along with Al Roker and former astronaut Steve Robinson. Tom, get us up to speed there. I know you were just talking to your producer here, Jay Blackman.
Yeah.
We have a hold, a 10-minute hold here. That's why the countdown is not going down anymore.
Yeah, that's right. And pardon me, I've got NASA in one ear. I'm trying to monitor their conversations. This is not unusual. Stand by.
110 hertz measurements correct, so we would have had to lose it for.
So a lot of this is just normal process, and they built in holds into their countdown. That's normal to run diagnostics, to double check all of the telemetry, to make sure that there's nothing that they're working that should hold them up. This is, we should make the point, unlike the space station when they had to launch and then they have to rendezvous with the station, they're trying to hit a moving target with the station, right? Yeah. There's no moving target here, and that's why the window is wider. They've got to go into an orbit around Earth, a high orbit, then they got to fire the rocket and head towards the moon at about Mach 33. 24,000 miles per hour. So they've got a little wiggle room here, and they just want to make sure that they don't get rushed into a scenario.
And Steve, the astronauts obviously trained for this. They know these delays are going to happen. They have to be so ready to go for this moment, but at the same time, they have to remain calm. And people say on launch day, the astronauts are the most calm out there.
Oh, I've been there. I've waited for things to happen. I've climbed back out of the seat and got back in the bus and drove back and waited another 3 weeks. I had one mission that we had 17 launch dates. So, but believe me, going to the moon requires patience and integrity. And these people are, I don't just mean the crew, I mean everybody here that we're listening to on the loops and all the people who are responsible to make this rocket. That's really what they mean by integrity, having the patience to do it correctly and safely.
Yeah, and you want to get it right because, like you said, you got to be safe, Tom. And this has been delayed, right? I mean, the first time they came in, they thought, you're listening in? Let's listen in here.
I think we should listen in right now.
All right, and I'm going to go ahead
clean
and just verify
telemetry,
everybody has
and he's
everything
polling.
else complete, launch director. And if we do, we'll be ready to pick up the poll at that time, unless there's something else that you're aware of.
No, sir. Let's verify all our work is complete, and I would like one last check of our constraints list.
All right, let's
That's
see.
Charlie
OTC,
Blackwell
still,
Thompson. She's
waiting
the
for
launch
comments,
director.
or are you-
She's making history.
She is the first woman to hold that job.
Yeah, OTC, this is CBSC. That 400 step 290 is complete. Copy.
Okay, so OTC, you're complete with all of your work?
That's affirmed.
All right, copy that. STC?
STC is complete.
And GTC?
GTC is complete.
Okay, excellent. All right, and LPE, just want to verify we have no open constraints at this time.
No open constraints. We have a clear board, sir.
Okay, tracking the same here.
Clear board.
And launch director, with that, we are clear and ready to pick up the launch readiness poll.
It's her call now.
Go.
All right, sir. I am go for the poll.
All right. And for all personnel, this is the NTD conducting the Artemis II launch readiness check. Verify ready to resume count and go for launch. OTC.
GC is go.
STC.
STC is go.
GTC.
C's go.
MCO.
GO is go.
Safety Console.
The safety console is go.
LPE.
LPE's go.
RTD.
RTD's go.
Houston Flight.
Houston Flight is go.
ROC.
ROC is go.
And CDR.
Crew is go.
Copy that. Thank you, Reed. And Launch Director, NTD, our launch team is ready to proceed at this time.
All right, NTD, I copy all. At this time, I'll perform my poll. At Attention on the net. This is the launch director performing the final poll for launch. Verify no constraints and go for launch. EGS, Program Chief Engineer.
Artemis Chief Engineers are go.
Copy, thank you. EGS, Chief Safety Officer.
The Artemis CSOs are go.
Copy, thank you. Range weather.
Launch weather is go.
Thank you, LWO. And Artemis MMT Chair.
MMTs go.
Thank you, John. And Integrity Launch Director.
Good air voice, Charlie. PLT.
Thank you, Charlie. This is Victor. We are going for our families.
MS1.
This is Christina. We are going for our teammates.
MS2. This is Jeremy. We are going for all humanity. All right, Charlie, your Artemis II crew is go for launch. Full send.
I copy that. Reed, Victor, Christina, and Jeremy. On this historic mission, you take with you the heart of this Artemis team, the daring spirit of the American people and our partners across the globe, and the hopes and dreams of a new generation. Good luck. Godspeed, Artemis II. Let's go. And NTD Launch Director.
Go ahead, Launch Director.
Yes, sir. You have a go to proceed with countdown.
Copy that. I'll put it in work. CDR, NTD.
Go.
Your risers and initiate short purge per your EPROC 10.1.1, steps 8 and 9.
10.1.1, 8 and 9 going to work.
Copy. CVSE NTD, start and verify recordings of our Orion cameras.
Copy and work.
Thank you. RSR NTD.
RSR.
All right, perform the booster ignition SNA arm rotation. Enable at this time, please.
RSR in work.
So we witnessed quite a moment there, Steve. I want you to kind of walk us through what we've been hearing. It just speaks to the dozens of teams that are working on this. Everyone has to say it's a go. Everything was clear. Right before they started, you said, wow, because they said the board was cleared. What did that mean?
There are no launch commit criteria that they're working, or that it's all clear. So there no problems that would keep us from launching, is what they said. And couldn't you hear a little bit of the excitement and emotion in each of those voices as they went through the leaders of this whole pyramid?
When we heard inside of Integrity, which is the name of the capsule, it was interesting. It was the Canadian astronaut who I think said it best, Al. Yeah. He said, we're doing this for humanity, and we all kind of said, wow.
It really literally sent shivers, I think, down everybody's spine, goosebumps, because that, in the end of the day, is what, because to your point, Tom, you mentioned it, it's taken hundreds of thousands of people all around the world who have put their hands, literally, on that SLS.
Charlie Blackwell Thompson, Tom, she knows the magnitude of this moment. We heard it in her voice, and she had some inspiring words for that crew before they lift off.
I've talked to her several times, and she said that she, as a little girl, watched Apollo landing on the moon. They rolled that black and white TV into her classroom, and that was the moment that she went home and told her family, I want to do that someday. And she was a little girl. And the reaction was, okay, sweetie, that may not be a job for you. She's been determined since she was a little girl, and she's running the show right now.
About to make history. Steve, talk to our viewers. Explain the countdown again. Still hasn't started yet. We're still in that 10-minute mark. What's going on right now?
They're kind of shifting over to getting the rocket actually ready to go. So there's
arming, pressurizing, doing the whole checklist.
Exactly. Inside the cockpit now, you heard the visors down. So the helmets come down. They do an air purge with pure oxygen. So now they're breathing pure oxygen.
Yeah. I don't know if we have Ryan Chandler. If we do, I'd love to go to him because I know he's with a lot of space fans out there on the beach watching this. It was interesting as we were listening to this and as they were giving the poll and everyone was saying to go, we could hear cheers sporadically around where we are here at the Kennedy Space Center, and I think people were hearing maybe a beat earlier than we were. Ryan's live for us now. Ryan, what's the mood like where you are?
Tom, you're so right. I mean, it is a hot Florida evening, and I got full body chills when I heard those speeches come there. This is the best seat in the house on this beautiful afternoon. Hundreds of thousands of people flocking to the region just to see this with their own eyes. We've met people from all across the world, from Brazil, Costa Rica, London, Canada, all coming here just to see this. You really get a sense, talking to so many people, that this is a slice of humanity that cuts through generations. We met people who have never seen this before, who have hoped for this day for their entire lives, and others, the family they came with, who remember the golden days of Apollo, and this brings them right back to that full circle moment. You really feel standing here in anticipation that we are about to witness history, and all these people are in good spirits as we await the final seconds, Tom.
Yeah, it's a very good point, Ryan. Thank you. I want to bring in Gadi Schwartz now. Gadi was so instrumental in explaining one of the concerns they had earlier today, maybe a couple of hours ago, when there was something. Oh, this is a big moment now. It looks like the countdown clock is about to resume. I'm being told by our control room, and there it is. We're less than 10 minutes away from taking off. You can hear cheers all around the Kennedy Space Center. This is incredible. Gadi, I do want to go back to you because they're about to do something very important, which is arm the flight termination system. And earlier in the day, that had caused a little bit of problems. Explain to our viewers exactly what that is and why that's so important. Again, no problems as of late.
Yeah, it's so important, and yet something that we will not be needing here. So I've got my little model here. This is the SLS, right? And so the flight termination system, basically, not only are we putting humans on the top of this 30-some story rocket and then having a controlled explosion on the bottom, there are also strategically placed bombs throughout this rocket ship that basically are there just in case things go wrong, and the capsule has to eject. It's pulled off by this system up at the top, and the astronauts would be safely pulled away, and then the parachutes would deploy. And then this thing would need to blow up in the sky to basically come down in small enough pieces so that no one here on Earth gets hurt. But that's just some of those systems that you don't even think about when you see that majestic stack sitting there on the launch pad ready to go. But Tom, I just got to say, I mean, we got 8 minutes, 30 seconds left on the clock. Up until now, so many of us have gone outside and we've looked up at the moon, that moon that we all share here on Earth, and we've thought in awe, wow, humans have gone up there. And then we think, wait, why have we not gone back there? Like, what's going on? Today, that may end. Today, when we look up at the moon, we may see that beautiful shape and think, we are going there. And that might change forever. This might be a thing. This might be a defining moment for humanity. Establishing an ongoing presence on the moon opens up the solar system for us. And it's just incredible to see. We've got 7 minutes, 53 seconds to go.
Gadi, I'm going to Gadi, you're putting it so poetically, but I'm going to interrupt you for a second. We're moving the arm now, as you can see, one of the first major steps here as we're so close. If your kids are outside, if you're trying to tell them they have to go take a bath, now is not the time. 6:35 is the new time we have for liftoff. It's going to happen, as you see in that countdown, in less than 8 minutes, 7 minutes and about 30 seconds right now. You're going to witness history in this country. It's going to be quite the moment, and Gadi was making that point as well. And Tom, so many are going to be watching our coverage, and they're going to be asking, why has it taken more than 50 years after we put an American on the moon?
Well, there are a lot of reasons to that. I mean, the short answer is America decided we'd spend enough. We went there, been there, done that, and we wanted to spend money on domestic programs. And then, oh, by the way, why don't we build out the shuttle program and really try to own low Earth orbit and do science in low Earth orbit? But as we've said, this is the biggest, most powerful rocket NASA has ever built. And when you see this thing light, let me give you the stats here, because this is awe-inspiring. Yeah. It will be 8.8 million pounds of thrust when this thing goes up, 3.5 million pounds of thrust in each of the booster rockets there, and these core engines are equipped with, they've been upgraded to produce 418,000 pounds of thrust. What does that mean? It means it's going to send it at 17,000 miles per hour into a very high orbit around the Earth. They'll spend a day there. and then they really light the fire, and they kick into Mach 33, 24,000 miles, headed all the way to the moon.
And Al, I think in about 6 days from now, if I'm correct, I think it's April 6th, maybe 5 days from now, they're going to look out their window and they're going to see the moon. It's going to be the size of a basketball.
I know. And it's kind of, it's really mind-boggling when you think about it. And the fact that they are going to be the first humans to put eyes on certain parts of the dark side of that moon. And you know, to your point, Tom, about why we haven't done it, you know, listen, a lot of people think, oh, all this money being spent. Well, the fact of the matter is our lives right now, technologically, are due to advances that were made during the space program, from GPS to the way the materials that power our cars, all those things. And who knows what we're going to develop at the technology as Artemis continues to move further.
I think even to the device that has fed so many journalists, the microwave, as well. Just
the weather satellites.
And the weather satellites. Thank you,
Tang. Steve, as we close in on 5 minutes here, there are a couple key things that are still needing to happen, right? Where they have to burn off the hydrogen igniters. I mean, still some major sort of technical issues. This is very important these next 5 minutes.
Well, one thing they're doing right now is pressurizing the core stage tanks, and that means is the fuel will be able to actually flow to the rocket engines. That's essential. But you're also looking for leaks. You're looking for temperature excursions. The turbo pumps that press the propellants, so you've got a fuel and an oxidizer into the engines, have to work perfectly.
And then, Tom, I want you to walk us through what we're going to see right at liftoff. We know it's going to be incredible when it lifts off the ground.
Yeah.
From there, at some point, those two massive rockets, right, attached to it, the SLS, are going to break off.
That's right. The boosters separate at 2 minutes and 8 seconds into the rocket lifting off. A key phrase to listen for to the viewers out there, it's called max Q. That means the maximum dynamic pressure on this rocket structure. That's at about 1 minute and 10 seconds into flight. Then again, at about 2:08, the rocket boosters separate out. And then at about 8 minutes and 6 seconds, the core stage and the main engine cutoff occurs. That's a critical moment. I always keep holding my breath until we actually have that core stage, main engine cutoff, because that's when you know that they should be safe in space.
From the rundown that we have here, right, the RS-25 engine startup.
Yeah.
That right there, Steve, what is that going to feel like? What's that going to sound like? Will the astronauts themselves know we're ready to take off in a few minutes?
Those
few seconds, I should say.
Yeah, yes. If those RS-425s will start about 6 seconds before you leave the ground, and you can feel that rumble come right up through the rocket. Now you're covered with so much stuff, you don't hear it quite so much, but you definitely feel it. And when the solid rocket boosters light, you are flung off the ground. It's not soft.
Steve, I want you to listen for a second and tell us what we're hearing here.
Helium purge, Steve, just occurred.
Okay. So helium is used to push some of the propellant into the plumbing.
GLS is go for purge sequence.
And so that's a normal.
At what point does if you're a person of faith and you're an astronaut, at what point does the praying start? Is it right before liftoff, or I know this team has been praying for 3 years together.
It's when you tell your family that you're going to fly in space.
From that moment on.
That's when, that's when everything gets serious. Let me be clear about something. These people are not worried. These people are not anxious. They're not stressed. They dealt with the magnitude of this event and the risk that goes with it long ago. And so right now they're focused on the mission. They're glad to be there. It is their life dream coming true. It would be anybody's in this business.
But you mentioned the families, though, Steve, and that should not get lost. I'm looking over at the NASA building. I see friends and family right now looking from the top of the NASA building right there on the balcony. These families have to be holding their breath. I know they are.
Oh, of course. Yeah, I was on the mission after Columbia.
In fact, I think that's what Christina Koch said for our families.
Yeah. And Drew Feustel said the same thing. It's hard on the families. So if you want to look for heroes in this business, don't look to the astronauts. Look at their families. Those are the heroes.
Jeremy Hansen had to have, he said, a very adult conversation with his teenagers about the very distinct possibility he wouldn't come back.
Yeah.
And that they had to go on without him. Obviously, everybody has done everything they can to ensure that they do come back, but they've had to have those conversations with family members, including their teenage kids.
We're about 90 seconds from launch. We're gonna give over the airwaves, if you will, voluntarily to NASA, because we want to listen as soon as they start speaking again right now. Let's listen in.
It's real good news.
1 minute.
GLS, go for ALS.
$25. 20. 15. 10.
GLS is go for core stage engine start.
Integrity, good roll pitch.
Roger, roll pitch. Integrity, AMT high. Integrity through max Q on Ponce de Leon.
Stan, we have you loud and clear on Ponce de Leon.
Have you the same? Integrity, guidance converged, performance nominal, upper stage RCS ready.
Copy all, Stan.
If you are joining our special coverage right now of NBC News of the Artemis II launch, you have just witnessed history with all of us and all of America that is watching. Guys, what an incredible moment. At first, you see that ball of fire. Yes. It takes a second, then you hear it, and then lift off. Feel it. And you feel it. And guys, a reason to look up right now, just a reason to look up, and cheers from everyone here at the Kennedy Space Center. And incredible, but something very important just happened. We saw the two rockets, right? They detached, Tom, and we're waiting on another critical moment in just a few minutes.
That's right. So keep your eyes on that clock right now. I'm looking over my shoulder with 3:13 into flight. We're going to wait for 8:06. That's going to be when the core stage, we have main engine cutoff. And as I said earlier, I always hold my breath until we have that, but they are off to a great start. While we are cheering here on the ground, and literally the building is shaking. In typical NASA speak, they're understated. All systems nominal. That means it's all great.
Yeah. Business as usual. The skies over Florida, the skies then over Georgia and beyond. Seeing Artemis and this Integrity capsule enter space. Steve, at this point right now, what are the astronauts doing inside the capsule? Holding on?
You expect me to have words right now?
You've been to space. You've been to space.
And that's why.
And it still gets you.
Oh, of course it does. Yeah. Anybody who's been to space would find that to be just a beautiful example of human audaciousness. So the crew is enjoying themselves right now. They're watching their systems. They're feeling the pressure. It's very rough on the solid rocket boosters until they come off, and now it's a smooth, accelerating ride.
Al, it was incredible, right? Clear blue skies, and you could just see it.
Yeah, I mean,
lift off from Earth and just shake us.
But the flame, it's one of those things that television, no matter what you watch, and our crews are terrific and the technology, but to see that flame in person, it's brighter than anything I've ever looked at with my naked eye.
Yeah. Tom, you had seen obviously this takeoff before. This is the first time with humans, though. Can you tell just from your human eye the power of it? I mean, did it look different? Does it sound any different?
I would say it feels different. Yeah. Because the truth is the Saturn V rocket, I wasn't here for that, but that's actually taller, but this is more powerful. Yeah. And it shook the building here. Good comms, that's critical. They reported all good comms. You don't want to be going up into space with bad comms. Yeah. The other important note here is that Reed Weissman told Houston it was a great view.
Oh, you love to hear that. And speaking of views, Tom, what are we looking at right now? Do we know some of these angles that NASA's providing here? What is this here? Is this the back of the SLS? Do we know?
So we are going to be getting multiple camera views. They're taking a page from SpaceX, which puts a camera on everything. Right. So NASA is now putting a camera on everything, and we are going to get the views, and I can't quite tell what that is, but we're going to be getting views from literally watching main engine cutoff. Again, that's going to happen at, where are we at? 5:36. We got 4 good engines right now. At 8:06 in, we'll have main engine cutoff, and then you will eventually, we expect, see the separation. Eventually, that's going to be the next main issue that we watch for very closely. Core stage separation at about 8:18.
So we're about less than 3 minutes, Steve, from that. How complicated is that process? Because I don't want to say that's the whole king caboodle here, because we just saw an incredible thing happen, but it's so critical.
It is very critical. It's so critical that they've made it as simple as possible to have as few failure modes as you could have.
The other interesting point here, Tom, is that they're not physically doing anything other than just sitting back and watching. This is all automated, controlled from the ground. They have a joystick or a command stick, if you will. They can talk about the thrust and the roll, but for the most part, they don't need to. This is all automated.
And this is
a nominal shutdown.
Just we have right now showing our viewers here a visualization of what was going on there. And I'm going to ask the control room. That's the visualization of what the separation would look like. I think this is inside NASA as well.
You're looking out of the launch control room right there.
As they were looking a little bit after takeoff, and actually this might be right now. We're seeing the same image over our heads as well. As we wait for this critical moment in about less than 2 minutes, which is the separation. And from that moment, Tom, that's when sort of the real business, again, what we just saw was incredible, but the real business into space starts and the journey around the Earth, because it's not directly to the moon. It's around the Earth and then around the moon.
That's right. And so they're going to spend, as I said, 24 hours in a high apogee, if you will, a high orbit around the Earth. Essentially, they want to create a huge elliptical loop, if I'm using the right term. Steve is going to correct me. That's going to put them in a huge loop around the moon. And then that allows them to go further.
Integrity, AOA open.
It allows them to go farther than any humans ever. So this is all about configuring for that move, and so far so good. So again, 8:06, we're going to see the core stage separate from the engine, and then we'll watch as Orion, once it's in orbit, they're going to deploy their solar arrays. That gives them power that they need.
And then, Tom, the rockets, as they break off, they fall into the Atlantic.
Yep.
We know. Oh, yeah, we fall into the Atlantic. Yep. And then this other piece, the other piece that just is going to separate now. Yeah. That also falls straight into the Atlantic. Okay.
In some ways, this is harkening back to the old days of Apollo, right? So, you know, SpaceX reuses some of their pieces.
Which is incredible technology, and it was a game changer. Yeah.
Amazing. But that's not what this is about. They're going to be dropping, they have dropped their SRBs, and then they're going to be also eventually dropping that course.
And it's right here. If we can watch this live right here.
Here we go.
Walk us through what's happening. Actually, let's listen in.
Separated.
Nominal main engine cutoff, so the 4 RS-25s have done their job. Now we've got stage separation from the core. That looks smooth as can be, just beautiful. And how wonderful to actually see that on video.
Yeah, and
in
again,
real time.
since we're outside the NASA building, we hear the cheers about a second before we actually see them. They're a little bit ahead of us, but again, cheers for what we just witnessed there. It was a very quick shot, but you could see, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Steve, is it the capsule that is coming off, or what exactly is coming out?
It's the capsule and the service module.
Okay.
And leaving the core stage, the big that had all the fuel tanks in it.
And then part of the reason to circle the Earth before they head on their way to the moon is to make sure that the capsule is working, that everything is, that they can navigate, that they can drive this, that everything is working in perfect order.
Yeah, it's like going camping in your backyard before you go to Everest.
Just making sure everything works there. Tom, NASA's providing these visualizations, which this is not obviously what's happening right now, but these are ideas of what's happening, so we can sort of understand this is what it's going to look like right now.
Yeah, listen, I think that we are watching the latest cutting-edge technology at play. I mean, this is truly America at the cutting edge here. And I think it's important and relevant to take a moment and say, wow, we should be collectively, not as Americans, not as North Americans, but just as humans, proud of the achievement here. The humans have been able to do this. And we're about to go even further than ever before. It's exactly what they had hoped for, setting the stage to eventually put humans on the moon.
And Al, in your interviews, I know when you spoke to the crew, they thought their ultimate goal was that this would be a moment of unity for the world.
Exactly, because and they said that over and over. This is not about them. This is about what we can do, how we can stretch those outer limits, what we can discover as we get ready to make that landing on the moon.
And they're so humble. I think in one of the interviews that you or Tom did, they said they would be happy if the next interview is with the next Artemis crew. Yeah. And they want this just to keep going.
They almost want to be forgotten. They want to make their mark, get the job done, and then they want the spotlight on the next crew because they're going to go even further. You know, do you remember Apollo 10?
Yeah.
Most of us don't. We remember Apollo 11, right?
Yes.
But Apollo 10 set the stage for Apollo 11.
Ryan Chandler is with space fans out there witnessing this moment in history. Ryan, what was it like to watch from your vantage point there on the beach?
And for PWD setup, just a reminder, halfway open on the secondary.
Can you hear Ryan?
Well, Ryan is speechless.
No, I can't hear program
right now. Ryan, I don't know if Ryan can hear us. The astronauts can hear
I think they're dialing me
we're
in.
still okay. We're gonna try to get Ryan. It's live TV,
They're dialing
folks, and they're dialing back. We need a launch commander, I think, but we're good to go.
But you know, I think the other thing that's interesting, Tom, is that they are testing new things, including a brand new toilet. Which is very important. You know,
and I heard it's very cramped, from what I understand.
But you know, the toilet. Everybody kind of jokes at that. But you know, would you want to go to the moon without a working toilet? It's a brand new technology. They want to make sure that works. They got a new water system they want to work. Brand new telemetry, brand new comms, a brand new deep space comms network. So there's an awful lot to test drive here before they send humans to the surface.
Jeremy Hansen, the Canadian who was on board this mission, said it's his first time in space. He hopes not to annoy his fellow astronauts because he's never really floated before. And he says, I'm sure he's so big it's going to get kind of annoying at first, but they'll get used to it. How hard is it once you're there and you're weightless?
Oh, you're very annoying. Oh, yeah. I bumped into everybody. But I have a special note of pride about Jeremy because I come from a Canadian family, too. So.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. Well, and if you can, I mean, what is it like, this moment like for Canada?
Can you imagine? Can you imagine? There have been very few Canadian astronauts. Every one of them is super special. I've known most of them. And Jeremy's an amazing guy. And can you imagine this being your first mission ever? Wow. Just what a wonderful guy, and he's representing an entire country. That section of humanity is very, very proud of him, and I am too.
And timing is everything in life, and what a great time for Canada and the U.S. to come together in a mission like this, and at a moment like this when the world is watching. I think we do have Ryan Chandler now. Systems are a go, from what I understand. Ryan, talk to us about what the space watchers out there are saying.
Tom, that was one of the most incredible things that I've ever seen, but the most interesting thing to me was not even looking at the rocket. It was looking this way at people's faces and seeing that raw reaction. So many people here, this is the first time they'd ever seen that in their life. it's seeing the mom embrace her kid and say, look, anything is possible. It's people looking up and realizing what this means, not just for the United States, but for the world and for humanity. Tom, if I may, I know we have a great team of experts that we've been talking to all day. I found one of my own on the ground here. This is Mr. Adrian. Thanks for helping us out. What did you think when you looked up to the stars and saw that launch today?
It was so incredible. It's like my first time seeing this, waiting for such a long time.
And you know a lot about this mission. What does this mean? What were you looking for when this launch happened?
Like, something really important is like it's like so brave of the astronauts that wanted to go there. Like, they never denied it. They just went like this, and they just said, we just go.
And you want to be one of them one day.
Let's
go. All right, we'll see you on Mars. Adrian, thank you so much, sir. Tom, I mean, that really makes the day.
Go, Ryan.
Yeah, Tom.
Yeah, little Adrian there, and so many little Adrians all around this country will never forget this moment. Tom, you were just sending me a note here. You're getting text messages from friends in Canada as well who are watching this and just in awe.
And they're watching. I told them, watch NBC News. Don't watch the Canadian Broadcasting Company. So to Joe, my good friend, to Jacinta, my good friend, to others, they have been watching, and they are so proud of this moment. So proud to see Canada step forward. But in typical Canada nice fashion, Jeremy is the most unassuming, nice, easygoing guy, and they're proud of that, that he represents the best of them.
You know, it's incredible because at this time we have multiple wars that are happening across the world right now. We hope this is a moment that the world can get around. That's what the astronauts wanted. You wonder if something like this, and obviously we're in the moment right now, we'll see what happens tomorrow, and we live in a different era than the 60s and 70s, as you guys know. But the big question is, can the world and can the U.S. get around this moonshot? And will it motivate and maybe lead to more space travel and maybe more investments into space?
Well, I think what's going the thing about when Neil Armstrong stepped on the moon, I was 15. I was watching with my family around a Sears Roebuck television, and it brought everybody together, and it ignited a can-do spirit that we can do these things. And I think with this crew, whether you're a Canadian, whether you're a person of color, whether you're a woman, whether you're anybody, you see some of yourself in this group, and that's going to spur that interest, that desire to move forward.
Yeah, Tom, as we watch and all of the moments that happened earlier when this thing took off, Artemis II was so incredible. An important moment's going to happen in about 3 hours, right? 3 hours from now, we have sort of a critical point in this entire mission when all eyes will be on what happens, and Orion, the capsule, something happens there. Explain to our viewers.
The Orion separates, and then it is truly on its own. And that's the point where we start seeing the proximity operations demonstrating their capability in that spaceship. This is the most advanced, well, one of the most advanced spaceships ever built. Right? I don't want to speak for what SpaceX has got going. They've had an incredibly successful pattern already. But you're talking about the most advanced spaceship that has never had humans in it before. It had a great, successful, unmanned, uncrewed mission, test flight. Right. But just to be clear, that return was a problem. You may recall. And the
5,000 degrees.
That's right.
It's a heat shield issue.
Yeah, they had more burning and charring on the heat shield on reentry than they're comfortable with. That really caused them to go back and do a big, in places, redesign and really question whether this is the right design for this ship. And everybody is still very much holding their breath and hoping and praying that heat shield holds on reentry. And for the most part, NASA is absolutely confident that it will. Now, there's some high-profile previous astronauts who are concerned about it. They've raised that concern. We've had that on NBC Nightly News. But the majority of the engineers at NASA and the NASA leaderships believe that it will be safe and the crew will be safe on reentry.
All right, Steve, as we wait for that moment 3 hours from now, talk to us about inside the Orion capsule right now. Are the astronauts talking amongst themselves? Are they talking back to mission control? What's happening?
They're busy. They're really busy. They're a brand new thing. They're looking at all the systems, make sure is that pressure right? Is that temperature right? Do we expect that valve to open? Then make our preparations for the separation from the ICPS and actually drive the Orion with the European service module around, flip it around, and actually do simulated dockings only a few hours after launch. That's an amazing thing to ask the crew to do, and I know they're excited.
And I know on this first day and this first night, they have to stay up for a long time, right? They almost, I think, at some point have to take a quick nap just to stay up longer because of what's happening and the importance of everything. Everyone has to be alert and awake.
How could you sleep?
How could you?
After that. So, but I think they'll be pretty fatigued, and if things have gone so well, they'll actually be able to sleep okay.
Yeah, we saw a quick shot of inside NASA, and it we have to talk about those teams there because we talk about the astronauts and their families and their friends, but I mean those teams from NASA as well working on this to every aspect, from the arithmetic to the building to everything to thinking about what's the next goal.
I worked in mission control for about 15 years and worked with lots and lots of missions, both ISS and lots of shuttle missions. And I saw how dedicated and smart these people are. But it's not just the individual people. It's the way they're linked together into kind of a super brain. And that's what's happening in mission control.
It looks like we're close to or either getting to the point where the Orion solar arrays deploy. Steve, what exactly does that mean in layman's terms?
Well, we know what solar panels do, right? And that's exactly what's essential for this vehicle. So the capsule is that little gumdrop thing, and then there's a cylinder below it, and that cylinder is the service module. It provides power and also water and oxygen, nitrogen for the capsule itself. And that power is going to come from the sun, so we need those solar arrays.
So an important and a critical part of what's happening right now, the solar arrays deploying, and we think, Tom, that's just happened or it's about to happen.
Right this very minute. Let's listen open.
Yep, let's listen in.
Give us just 1 minute. And Stan, you can read it like this, ready to copy.
Roger. Kedra, stand over east to west, expected 1 second earlier at 5:1 minutes, 26 seconds.
Okay, bottom line is we're at that point right now when the solar arrays are deploying, assuming that goes as planned, nominally, as NASA likes to say.
All right, Stan, we copy 1 second earlier for 5126 Kedra east to west, and
we will then be waiting. The next big marker on this is going to be at 49 minutes into the mission.
Yeah.
40. Sorry, I've got trying to listen to them and at the same time. 49 minutes into the mission, then that is when we will see Orion in a safe orbit.
But so far, Tom, just to put a point on this, so far everything has been great. It's been good. Systems are a go. We've witnessed a historic launch.
Couldn't ask for a better day, better mission. It's been perfect.
All right, Tom, we thank you. That's going to conclude this NBC News special report for the launch of the Artemis II mission. We'll have much more coverage ahead on our streaming network, NBC News Now, and online at NBCNews.com. I'm Tom Yamas from the Kennedy Space Center. We thank you so much for watching.
AMT high.
And Doug.
Thank you both for coming in. I'm a bit worried about Doug Jr. I know how important Liberty Mutual is to your family.
They customize car insurance to save people hundreds.
Right. Well, Doug Jr. keeps